I had been in a relationship with him for 5 years, and now I was pregnant, so we decided to get married. What I never expected was to find another girl on his WeChat secondary account. They were sending each other good morning and good night messages, sharing their daily lives. While I was living with him, he was still being sweet with another girl. His parents never approved of me. His salary was lower than mine, but these things didn't bother me. But at this moment, I was utterly devastated. I had been living with Ethan for 2 years. This day I was planning to browse Amazon on his phone. But just as I was about to lift it, he grabbed the phone away from me, and I could feel his nervousness even from across the room. Pretending not to notice something was off, I reached for the remote next to his phone, but he instinctively stood up from the couch. I froze. He froze too when he saw my hand holding the remote. He raised his hand and ruffled my hair, his tone a bit stiff. "Baby, you've been working hard recently. Once I'm done with this, we'll go get the marriage certificate." We had been in a relationship for 5 years, and I had brought up getting the marriage certificate at least 10 times lately. Every time he had used his work as an excuse to delay. Over time, he came home less and less. I had expressed my dissatisfaction, but he just comforted me by holding me. "Baby, I'm working hard for our future. Can you give me a little more time?" This time, he mentioned the marriage certificate to shut me up, which meant he was already feeling guilty to the highest point. After dinner, he took his phone into the bathroom, and I lay on the bed, reminiscing about everything from when we first met to now. He was 3 years younger than me. We met at my graduation party because we were both hosts. Afterward, he kept following me around, calling me sister, sister. Suddenly, the bed sank, and an arm wrapped around my waist. Ethan had just finished showering, and I could smell the fresh scent of his skin. He said, "Tomorrow is your birthday. I've been picking out a gift for you and I want to surprise you, so I didn't want you to see my phone." So that's where he went to brainstorm gift ideas? But his explanation was too weak. I asked, "Will you spend tomorrow with me?" He hugged me. I already took leave from work. I said nothing, and after a while, his phone lit up again. He glanced at it and put it back. Everything seemed normal. But my mind was unsettled. I couldn't sleep until morning. Ethan, who usually loves to sleep in, was up by 7 a.m. "Baby, you stay in bed. I'm going to buy something." He moved quickly, like he was in a hurry to do something. I asked, "Where are you going?" He said, "Mike's girlfriend is moving, and they're short of something. I'm just going to deliver it." I knew Mike because of Ethan. We had eaten out a few times together, and I got along well with his girlfriend Lala. After he left, I called Lala. She picked up after a while, her voice hoarse, clearly just waking up from a nap. In our 5th year of dating, Ethan cheated. Everything was already self-evident, no need for further proof. Around 11 a.m., Ethan finally called me. "Sorry, baby, I might not make it back during the day. There's still some stuff left to move, but I'll definitely come back and have dinner with you tonight, okay?" I had spent the whole day sleeping at home, and when I woke up, the evening glow outside was dazzling, and a wave of loneliness swept over me. I hugged the blanket and sat on the bed, lost in thought. It was at that moment that Ethan came back, holding a bag in his hand. "Baby, happy birthday. Sorry I'm back so late." As he approached, I could smell a faint fragrance on him. He handed me the bag. "I know you love perfume, so I picked this one out for you as a birthday gift. I'm not sure if you'll like it though." I took the thin bag and inside was a lone bottle of perfume. I didn't see through his lie. After all, it had been 5 years, and before I had concrete evidence, I still held on to a sliver of hope. I forced myself to act as if nothing was wrong and gave him the usual hug. "Thank you, I really like it." We went out for dinner and he was constantly attentive, taking care of everything for me. I closed my eyes and made a wish before blowing out the candles. I hoped it was all a misunderstanding, that we could be together forever. Then, I suddenly heard a light chuckle in front of me. I thought I misheard, but when I opened my eyes, I saw him grinning at his phone screen. I hadn't seen him smile so brightly in a long time, and it caught me off guard. He laughed, then looked up at me. When he saw me staring at him, the smile on his face froze. I asked him, "What are you looking at?" His expression grew awkward. "Just a funny joke." I leaned over to look. "Let me see." He quickly scrolled on his phone, and when I finally saw the screen, there was only a news article open. He looked guilty and explained, "My hand slipped just now." I refreshed the page, and now I can't find the joke. My heart sank. So, when I made my wish, hoping we could be together forever, what was he really thinking? We left the restaurant and my mood wasn't great. Ethan noticed I seemed down and held my hand, acting cute. Didn't like this place? Let's go have your favorite grilled fish instead. He was pretending like nothing had happened, but all I could think about was that smile he had just shown. What exactly was he laughing about? When he was with me, where was his heart really? I wanted to tear off his fake mask, but I didn't dare. At least not right now. I still wanted to maintain this relationship, even though it was already full of cracks. He took me to eat grilled fish, but for some reason, the strong smell of it today made me feel disgusted. I ran to the bathroom and vomited uncontrollably. Perhaps my face had looked bad earlier because soon, Ethan's anxious voice came from outside. "Baby, are you okay?" When I had no strength left, I collapsed on the floor, and Ethan couldn't wait any longer. He barged in and carried me to the hospital. After some tests, the doctor said, "You're fine, just pregnant." I immediately snapped out of it and instinctively looked at Ethan. He was frozen in place, not daring to look at me. Ethan's family found out I was pregnant, and his parents invited me over to their house. Although Ethan had never talked about it, I knew that due to age differences, his parents didn't approve of me. But they did accept the money I had spent on Ethan these past few years, and they acted as if Ethan was their son. I bought a lot of gifts and went to Ethan's house with him. This was the second time I had visited his home in 5 years. His mom was as cold as usual. When she saw me, she greeted me with indifference. "Coco, you're here. Please sit. We just finished eating. Didn't know you guys were coming. Let me heat something up for you." I smiled and said, "It's okay, Auntie, I'm not hungry." She ignored me. I was about to greet his dad when I heard her telling him to, "Come help me, old shoe. Ethan, go tidy up your room. Don't just stand there doing nothing." Soon, I was left alone in the living room. I felt awkward. I couldn't sit or stand, so I decided to go to the kitchen to help. Before I reached the door, I overheard his mom talking to his dad in a low voice. "Nowadays, girls aren't worth much. They just move in with a guy before marriage and then complain when people look down on them." I felt ashamed, and my face immediately flushed. But deep down, I knew she wasn't wrong. I didn't know about others, but at least I wasn't worth much. I pretended nothing had happened and returned to the living room. Soon, his mom came back with leftovers, slamming the plates on the table. "Come and eat." Her tone was more like calling a dog. "No, Auntie, I'm still not hungry." She didn't insist and got straight to the point. "I heard from Ethan that you're pregnant. So, are you two planning to get married?" Ethan hadn't come out of the room yet, so I nervously clutched the edge of my clothes. "Yes, we do plan to marry. We're not against the marriage. After all, you're not getting any younger. But we just bought a house in the city center and are still paying off the mortgage, so we don't have any money for a dowry. You'll have to talk to your family about that." Actually, I had never planned on asking for a dowry, but I knew I couldn't say that. Her mother was like a machine gun, talking non-stop without pausing. "Ethan has never really suffered, and once you two get married, you'll just stay home and take care of him. Your salary isn't really necessary either. I don't have any other requests for you two. But Ethan's career is on the rise, and your uncle is a public servant. So when you get married, don't make it a big deal. Just have a small family gathering, alright?" After that, I couldn't hear her clearly anymore. I suddenly realized that I couldn't keep the baby, and I couldn't marry him either. I couldn't keep deceiving myself about this relationship. I just wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. Just as I was on the verge of breaking down, Ethan finally came out of the room. Without saying a word, he grabbed my hand. "Mom, Coco and I are leaving. We'll come back to visit you and Dad another time." It wasn't until we reached the gate of the community that I finally calmed down. Ethan, looking a bit guilty, pulled me into his arms. "I'm sorry, baby. I made you suffer." I held on to the last bit of hope and asked him, "What do you think about what your mom just said?" He avoided my gaze, looking awkward as he stared at the floor. "Well, we did buy a house recently and we're a bit tight on money." I was about to pull away from his embrace when he quickly added, "But don't worry, I'll work hard to make more money. I studied design in college, and now I work at a fashion company, mostly responsible for high-end fashion. Ethan is in the same field, and from the time he graduated and joined a company, I've helped him get ahead. All of his career highlights have something to do with me. My salary's a bit higher than his, but between rent, utilities, social obligations, car loans, and living expenses, I end up subsidizing him. By the end of the month, my salary is almost gone. So, what is he going to do to make more money? The events of the day didn't seem to affect Ethan. At night, he slept soundly by my side. As I stared at the ceiling, my thoughts were in chaos. Then I heard his phone vibrate. I cautiously grabbed it, and the WeChat notification popped up. The message was from someone asking, "Are you asleep? I can't stop thinking about it. Didn't you promise me you wouldn't introduce her to your parents? Why did you lie to me?" There was also a crying emoji attached. The phone he was using was identical to the one he always used, but the WeChat profile picture was different. I then opened my phone to check, confirming that he had mixed up his two phones. There were only a few people in his WeChat contacts. I clicked on the chat box one by one and confirmed their identities. The one with the couple's profile picture was his mistress, and the rest were her friends. I compulsively opened her moments. I saw that she had used a picture of them together as her background. Every single post was about their sweet daily life together. The latest post read, "Love checked in, 721 days. Ironically, I knew this girl. Her name was Lily, and she was Ethan's classmate. She had been chasing him since their freshman year. Whenever I mentioned her, Ethan would frown and say, "Baby, can you stop talking about her? She makes me feel sick." But in this WeChat account, I didn't see any sign of him feeling sick. I clicked into their conversation and saw them exchanging good morning and good night messages, sharing their daily lives. While I was sending Ethan WeChat messages all day without getting any replies, he sent Lily a picture of his lunch with a message. "This food is terrible, not even close to your cooking skills." I also saw that when he worked late, Lily would make him dinner and bring it to his office. Afterward, he boasted to her, "Baby, you're amazing. My colleagues are all impressed by your cooking. They even said they want to try your braised lion's head next time." Ethan had never called me baby before. He used to call me sister, and later changed it to baby. I also saw that every night he worked late, Lily would be there with him in the office. She was probably exhausted, sleeping deeply at her desk. I couldn't help but wonder what Ethan's thoughts were when he took this picture. Under the light, Lily's facial features were soft, just like Ethan's feelings for her at that moment. The overwhelming love seemed to pierce through the screen, knocking me down. I kept scrolling down. Lily coquettishly said to him, "Your bed is so hard, it hurts my back. And that curtain's so outdated. Can you change it next time?" The date was during the month I was on a business trip. That month, in the house I personally decorated, the two of them spent every day together, using my things, sleeping on my bed, and even nitpicking at my choices. What made it even more laughable was that Ethan actually went ahead and changed the curtains. When I asked him why, he vaguely said, "This color is brighter, don't you think, babe?" While I loved him deeply, he had given that love twice over to another girl. We never registered our marriage. We were just in a relationship. So I couldn't really do anything with the evidence I had. I placed his phone back where it was and felt like everything was a dream. I lay quietly, but suddenly Ethan woke up. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him immediately reach for his phone. I closed my eyes and pretended to be asleep. He quietly got off the bed, and after a while, came back into the room. When he fell asleep again, I looked at his phone. He had switched back to the one he usually used. I suddenly felt so ridiculous. I wasn't afraid of his family's many rejections, but his love for another woman had pushed me out of this relationship. I didn't keep the baby, and I didn't tell anyone that I went to the hospital. I went home and slept the whole day. When I woke up at night, Ethan still hadn't returned. I called him, but he didn't answer. About an hour later, he returned my call. "What's wrong, babe?" I asked. "Did you work late again today?" His voice was filled with excitement. "I've completed my resignation process today. I'm going to start working at Wowing soon. Babe, I can finally give you a better life. Once I finish the handover, I'll come back and be with you." He was obviously drunk, his speech slurred. I suddenly felt exhausted for him. How could he not feel empty, living constantly in lies? I waited until midnight when I finally heard a knock on the door. When I went to the door, I saw Lily helping Ethan, who was heavily drunk, standing there. Mike stood beside them, anxiously looking at me. "Hey, sister. We went out to celebrate today." "Shoo. Jay drank too much, sorry about this." In front of Lily, he didn't even dare to call me sister. Lily was very likable. When she smiled, the little dimple on her left cheek was visible. She greeted me cheerfully. "You must be Ethan's girlfriend, right?" "Hello, I'm his friend, Lily." I gripped the door handle tightly, trying my best to maintain composure. Hello. You guys really caused me trouble. Come in and sit for a while." Mike was about to decline, but Lily directly helped Ethan inside, acting like it was her own home. Mike had no choice but to follow. "I'll go boil some water, you guys sit first." Mike looked worried. Shay threw up earlier. "I'll help him change." Lily then followed me into the kitchen and leaned against the door, chatting with me. "Sis, we went to the same college. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I'm 3 years junior to you." I smiled and looked at her. "Not really." Lily's smile widened. "That shouldn't be the case. Ethan and I are really close. Back when we were in school, we were always together." I thought for a moment. "I still don't remember, but there's one thing I want to confirm. There was a time when Ethan kept complaining that someone was stalking and harassing him. I didn't believe it at first, but he brought it up again a few days ago. So, is this true? Did someone actually harass him? I thought he was just lying to me." Lily fell silent for a while and then smiled again. "Sis, let's add each other on WeChat. We're alumni, so we should stay in touch." This girl. She was interesting. Lily added me to a group. I couldn't see any of the Moments posts I had seen earlier from Ethan's phone, but it didn't stop me from seeing her latest post. The next day, she posted a screenshot of a conversation, clearly from a couple. They had made plans to go out to celebrate something. Ethan was next to me playing with his phone. I casually glanced at him. He was scrolling through his Moments, a smile on his face, his eyes filled with tenderness. The next second, I saw his like on Lily's post. And for my Moments, he had never liked anything. I knew Lily was trying to provoke me, and I played into her hands. I went to the restaurant they had agreed to meet at early, preparing to give Ethan a surprise. Sure enough, when they sat down and I came out of the bathroom, Ethan froze. He hurriedly stood up and knocked over his chair. I smiled as I walked to their table. "What a coincidence. You guys are eating here too?" Ethan instinctively grabbed my hand. "Babe?" Lily enthusiastically linked her arm with mine. "What a coincidence, sis. Are you here alone? Let's eat together." I nodded. "I'm alone, but I've booked the table next to you." I looked at Ethan. "Do you want to stay here or come with me to the other table?" Lily's face immediately darkened. She stared at Ethan, and honestly, I was just as nervous. After a long silence, Ethan said to Lily, I'll go over there and eat. You can join us." I let out a sigh of relief. Although things had come this far, I was grateful to Ethan for this one moment. Lily, younger than me by a few years, I saw her smile falter in an instant. But she was well-mannered, her face dark as though it could squeeze out ink. Still, she didn't make a scene. She red-eyed and compromised. And even I, as a woman, felt sorry for her. The meal was awkward. I wasn't fond of sour food, but I deliberately ordered dishes that were a little more sour. Lily asked, "Sis, do you like sour food? You must love vinegar, huh?" I saw Ethan's gaze on her, as if he were going to devour her. I scooped some soup for her. Not really, just that I've been craving sour food because I'm pregnant. Everything happened in an instant. The bowl fell from Lily's hands. She seemed to snap, grabbing Ethan tightly and yelling at him. Everyone in the restaurant turned to look at us. The manager came over and asked us to leave. The cold night air sobered Lily up a little. She sat silently on the steps while Ethan kept holding my hand, trying to explain. "Babe, it's not what you think. I interrupted him. "Let's break up." I turned and got into a taxi. Ethan tried to follow, but Lily tightly held onto his sleeve, not letting him move. Although I was the one who initiated the breakup, once I said it, my heart ached. Over 1,000 days and nights of companionship came to an end here. I really didn't want to, but when you step into something foul, you have to avoid it. I quickly packed up my things. Though reluctant, I didn't want to linger any longer. Just as I was closing my suitcase, Ethan rushed in, pulling my suitcase like a madman. Don't go. I'm begging you, babe, I can explain." The window had been shattered. I suddenly couldn't face this pitiful ending. I pushed him away fiercely, and he rushed at me, kneeling at my feet, holding my legs, looking up at me. "Babe, I was wrong. Please don't leave me. I beg you. Let's go register our marriage now, okay?" I love you, I really love you. I was wrong. Please forgive me, Ethan. I looked at him calmly. I'm tired. You and Lily are perfect for each other. I deserve better. Ignoring my words, Ethan dragged me to the bed, pinning me under him, refusing to let me leave. After a struggle, I was physically exhausted and finally gave in. I lay in his arms and suddenly laughed. Ethan, you know what? I had an abortion. I clearly felt him stiffen, his face twisted with anger, shaking uncontrollably. Ethan smashed everything he could in the house. Eventually, the downstairs property management came, and the incident finally settled down. He knelt in the wreckage, still holding my legs. Babe, please don't go. We'll have a baby next time. It was my fault. I was a jerk. Please forgive me. I knew this would drag on if I stayed, so I nodded. His eyes suddenly brightened. Really? Really? After all the chaos, he was exhausted. As we went to sleep, he held me tightly, and every time I moved slightly, he would wake up. I gently patted his shoulder. Sleep, I'm not leaving. He still trusted me like usual and relaxed, eventually letting his guard down. I heard his breathing slow and steady and quietly slipped off the bed. I threw away my phone card. With nowhere else to go, I decided to head to my company. When my colleague, who was working overtime until early morning, saw me, he was surprised. Aren't you on leave? To be honest, I wasn't on leave. Wying, the company Ethan was always talking about, had approached me with an offer. Initially, I rejected it, but after hearing Ethan constantly talk about it, I eventually became interested. After negotiations, I submitted my resignation to my current company, but since my last fashion project was still wrapping up, my boss asked me not to announce it. He told me to wait until after my leave and then come back to pack my things. I didn't tell Ethan about Wying because I wanted to surprise him. But, in the end, that surprise never came to fruition. I changed my phone number and made preparations for my new job. Wying offered me a director position, which meant I wouldn't need to spend sleepless nights chasing after big clients. Instead, I could focus on creating my own brand. To escape the mess, I moved to a different district. Slowly, my life began to settle into a new routine. Days went by and everything seemed to be moving forward smoothly. However, Ethan's calls never stopped. He was persistent, and despite everything that had happened, he still wanted me back. Ethan became like a dream from my youth. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I feel like everything that happened before was unreal. I was thriving in my new company and my condition improved significantly. In the second month at Wying, our team secured a major project from a state-owned enterprise. Although the company was large, the net profit was very impressive. During the morning meeting, my manager praised our team, and just as I was about to feel happy, he continued. Today, we've got a new colleague joining our company. Coco, you're great at business, and now we've secured a new deal. It's perfect timing. Let him start by shadowing your team. As he spoke, I saw a man walking into the room. Our eyes met, and we froze. He instinctively hid his left hand behind his back. It had been a while since we last saw each other, and he looked much calmer now. I nodded at him, then quickly turned my gaze away. There were more young women in our team, and Ethan was quite handsome. After the meeting, they all surrounded him, asking him all sorts of questions. Not even an hour later, I got a private message. Hanji, another young man already married off. Why do all the handsome guys get snatched up? Will we funny girls never have a chance? When I saw him hide his hand earlier, I had already guessed it, but I realized after just 2 months, I was now completely unfazed by him. Ethan was arriving at just the right time. We had secured a big deal, and overtime had become the norm. I thought to myself that, if he was truly planning to marry Lily, she wouldn't be so calm. As expected, on the 7th consecutive day of overtime, I saw Lily bringing a lunchbox to the company. I watched from my office as she smiled and chatted with the team, and when she turned to see me looking at her with a smile, the lunchbox in her hand dropped to the floor. At the end of the day, I received a call from Lala. I have a bit of social anxiety, and since entering society, I hardly made any friends. Lala was an exception. As soon as I picked up, she started shouting, "Coco, now that you've been promoted, you've forgotten about your old pal, huh? You haven't contacted me in forever." I couldn't help but laugh when talking to her. "Tell me, what do you want to eat now? Once I'm done with work, I'll come find you to make it up." I heard from Ethan that you might be working overtime non-stop, so I'm coming with Liuzi to find you. Let's grab dinner tonight. After work, I hurried to meet them. But as I was about to leave the building, I realized I had forgotten my phone and had to go back upstairs to get it. When I turned around, I saw someone quickly darting into the print shop next to the company. Although she moved quickly, I still saw that it was Lily. I was confused. Ethan had already left work. What was she sneaking around here for? The restaurant wasn't far from the company, so I intentionally walked. As expected, she followed me, keeping a safe distance, thinking she was being discreet. When I arrived at the restaurant, I saw that Ethan was already there. Now, I understood Lily's motives. Originally, Ethan had been sitting in a chair, casually chatting with Mike, looking relaxed. But when he saw me, he immediately straightened up. Mike, who had been avoiding me ever since Lily came to my house, did the same. The atmosphere became a bit awkward. Only Lala was laughing like a fool, but since I was already here, I pretended not to notice anything unusual and walked over with a smile. The dinner made me uncomfortable. Several times during the meal, Ethan tried to serve me some food, but when he saw me looking at him, he withdrew his hand. Why does the atmosphere feel a bit off today? By the way, when are you two getting married? I've already picked out my bridesmaid dress, Lala asked innocently, probably unaware of what was going on. The atmosphere immediately dropped to freezing point. I glanced around, but didn't see Lily. I decided to give them some time to explain things to Lala. I'm going to the restroom, I said and stood up. As soon as I entered, the door behind me creaked open. I turned around to see Lily standing there, her bloodshot eyes glaring at me. She looked in poor condition, like someone recovering from a severe illness, her lips pale with no color. She stared at me intently, and I could feel she was about to pounce and tear me apart. But she held herself back. After taking a deep breath, she finally spoke, her voice trembling with anger but still holding herself as the wife. Can you stay away from Ethan? We're already married. I didn't want to say much to her, so I ignored her. Seeing this, her emotions became even more agitated. Do you think Ethan loves you that much? Wake up. If he really loved you, why would I be here? Why am I pregnant? I found it absurd. You're so sure he loves you. What's the point of telling me all this now? If you're so certain, why come find me? Lily clenched her hand at her side, suddenly smiling. Coco, you always act so high and mighty. Do you know why Ethan is with me? It's because you're too dominant. You always overshadow him. What man would like a wife who is stronger than him? You think you're capable. You think you're paving the way for him. But he doesn't appreciate it. What he needs is someone like me. Someone who admires him. Someone who will silently be there when he's upset. Not someone who tells him what to do and forces him to follow a preset path. I suddenly recalled the look in Ethan's eyes when he came to me for solutions to his problems. That embarrassment, which I had completely overlooked. Maybe she was right, but none of this justified their unethical behavior. I ignored her and, after calling Lala, went back home. Before I even took off my shoes, I heard my phone ping with multiple notifications. Picking up my phone, I saw 8 WeChat messages and 1 email. When I opened it, it was from Ethan sending multiple photos. As I read the words on the images, my heart immediately turned cold. The photos were of the love letters I had written to Ethan during our relationship when we had an argument. Ethan's message followed. I'm Ethan's lover. Your company's director has been repeatedly harassing my husband using her position. I hope your company will investigate her soon. No one in the group of nearly 1,000 people responded, and soon, my department manager called me to get the details. After learning everything, she suggested I call the police. I didn't follow her advice. I thought calling the police would be too easy on Lily. Since she believed Ethan and I were unclear, I decided to let her keep thinking that way. Because of this big deal, the company's higher-ups had a good impression of me, and my direct supervisor was very supportive. As a result, Lily's harassment incident passed without much consequence. A few days later, she sent me another message. It's a pity, but at least it's good for you to lose some face. At least now people can see how Coco, who is usually so proud, acts like a puppy. Don't blame me, you didn't listen to my advice. I didn't reply. Not long after, she sent another message. Do you know how I got your love letters? Ethan's mom gave them to me, one by one. I think you should see the expression on her face when she talks about you. TSK TSK. I could easily imagine her expression, but I didn't expect her as an elder to be so disgusting. After all, I never did anything wrong to her. I immediately blocked Lily. I didn't want to engage with her, but she kept shouting at me. Although I didn't want to deal with her, I still needed to give her a little lesson. Now that Ethan works under me, the rules are mine to set. The next day, I invited the team out for dinner, citing everyone's hard work due to the continuous overtime. It wasn't long before Ethan came in and asked for leave. Hong, I suddenly have something urgent. I might not be able to go. I still smiled. You're so unsociable. Have you thought about how to build relationships at work? Ethan clutched his clothes nervously, and after a while, he nodded. I got it. That evening, he went out with everyone. During the meal, I saw his phone ringing continuously. Eventually, he turned it off. I guessed that it was Lily calling, so I unblocked her again and sent her a message. Do you know why he's not answering your calls? Sure enough, my phone was bombarded right after. I sent her a picture of Ethan and blocked her again. We chatted for a while, and dinner went on until late. The next morning, when everyone arrived, I noticed Ethan had several new bruises. As a leader, I naturally had to show concern for my subordinates. Personally though, I also wanted to give Lily a taste of her own medicine since she had been making my life difficult. So, I bought him some ointment and acted very sympathetic, though my words were heartfelt. You can't keep going on like this. I understand Lily's feelings, but work and life need to be separated. If she keeps making a scene, it's going to affect you. I think you should know that better than anyone. Ethan gripped the ointment tightly, his hand trembling. For a moment, he seemed to drop his mask. He said, I know you hate me and I deserve it, but she's pregnant. I didn't mean to. Her family keeps causing trouble, and my mom wants a grandchild, so I married her. It wasn't intentional, just that he couldn't control his lower body. He said he loved me but let Lily get pregnant. I smiled and nodded, indicating I understood. While we were talking, I casually slipped my lipstick into his jacket pocket and said, You need to balance work and personal life. Lying is your dream, and I hope you cherish this opportunity. If I'm not mistaken, Lily must have noticed my lipstick because the next day, Ethan took the day off, and when he returned to work, the marks on his face were still visible. Now, I felt like Lily and I had swapped places. I thought she should have learned her lesson by now, but I underestimated her ability to endure. In Ethan's first month at the company, she started picking him up and dropping him off at work again, even coming to keep him company during overtime. But she no longer looked as refined as before. Her face had turned pale, her cheeks hollowed as if she was seriously ill. I suddenly realized I couldn't continue like this. She was clearly on the brink of a breakdown, and I didn't want to push things too far. However, since I was now in the same team as Ethan, it was inevitable that we would have some contact. I stared at the client-size chart in my hands for a while before deciding to call him in because he was responsible for this part of the work. When Ethan got up, Lily grabbed his hand and seemed to say something. Ethan irritably shook off her hand. When he entered the room, we had barely spoken 2 sentences when Lily suddenly barged in without knocking and asked, Coco, what's the deal? Why do you keep calling Ethan in here? Everyone outside was watching. I remained calm and said, Knock before you come in. Worried the situation would escalate, Ethan tried to pull Lily away. Let's go outside first. Lily exploded like a balloon. She slapped Ethan hard. Don't think I don't know what you two are up to. You two shameless bastards. I really hate bringing personal issues into work, so I immediately called security and reported the situation to my manager. My manager asked, Do you think Ethan should stay? Ethan is a potential talent. Even though we've reached this point, I still believe in his work ability. I nodded. Ethan has strong personal abilities, and I want to give him another chance. In the end, Lily was escorted out and banned from coming near the company. She became even more unhinged, showing up at the company's entrance every day and even starting to stalk me. I went to the security booth at my apartment complex for help, and they called the police. After reviewing the surveillance footage, Lily was detained for 3 days. Ethan's mother came to the company again to plead with me. Coco, please let her go, she's still pregnant. She probably never imagined she would beg me for forgiveness a second time. I still refused to reconcile. It was clear that Ethan's mom wanted to scold me, but she held back the words at the tip of her tongue. The incidents of harassment I endured soon reached the upper management of the company. In 3 months, our team had completed a major deal, and my leadership caught the eye of the higher-ups. After several talks, they decided to transfer me to manage the branch office in a neighboring province. Naturally, I was more than happy about it. As for Lily and Ethan, I had no intention of getting tangled up with them any longer. The new company offered good benefits. I set myself a small goal. Within 10 years, buy a house in this expensive city, all paid off. For that goal, I worked hard. Countless times I overheard people whispering among themselves. Isn't she the boss's wife? No wonder she works so hard. I worked day in and day out on the front lines. Long hours of overtime took a toll on my body, and before the money even made it into my pocket, I had collapsed. I was rushed to the hospital. During my coma, I had the best sleep I'd had in over a year. In my dazed state, I heard someone talking on the phone beside me. Yeah, it's her, still the same foolish girl, doing everything like she's invincible. This time, it was exhaustion, and her coworkers brought her in. The voice was deep and pleasant, but the words were anything but nice. Although I had no solid evidence, I felt like he was talking about me. It made me so angry that I woke up immediately. When I opened my eyes, I heard him say, "All right, enough talking, the fool's awake." I knew it was me he was referring to. I glared at him, and as I looked up at his face, I almost choked on my own spit. He glanced at me and asked, "How do you feel?" I lowered my head in embarrassment and anger. If you asked me what my greatest embarrassment was in life, it would definitely be this man in front of me, the one wearing a white coat, the elegant scoundrel. He was my high school classmate. I had been infatuated with him for 3 years. I finally confessed to him after graduation, only for him to reject me with the excuse, "My mom doesn't let me date." I was so angry that I blocked him and swore never to have anything to do with him again. For the next few years, he didn't attend any of our class reunions. What was even stranger was that the others would always ask me if I knew what happened to him. I still remembered the way he rejected me so decisively, so whenever someone asked, I told them he had died. If I knew I'd run into him here, Bill, I definitely wouldn't have ended up here in such a mess. I forced a smile and said, "Long time no see. I didn't expect you to become a doctor." Bill sneered. "No need for sentimentality, after all, you went around telling everyone I was dead. I'm just saving myself." I forced a few awkward laughs. The floor was almost empty. As soon as he left, I secretly removed the needle, grabbed my bag and quickly walked out. At the staircase, I saw Bill standing on the second floor landing, enjoying the breeze. The midday sun cast a golden glow on him. He looked at me with a knowing expression. "Where are you trying to run to this time?" I stood still, annoyed, as time seemed to rewind to that summer when we were 18. I had cornered Bill, who tried to avoid me by climbing over the school wall. I stood in the light, looking up at the boy sitting on the wall. "Bill, where are you trying to run now?" Bill asked. "Do you have time tonight? Want to grab a meal? The company's top management is coming for a meeting this afternoon. I'll contact you after it's over." "That's fine. But could you first blacklist me?" Bill said casually, with no embarrassment about being blocked. I awkwardly smiled and, in front of him, unblocked him on WeChat. I didn't dare to let him see my nickname for him. I quickly ran downstairs, worried that I might make another mistake in front of him. But of course, fate wasn't on my side. I tripped on the last step and fell. A biting voice rang from behind me. "You idiot, why didn't you just break your neck?" I was immediately helped up. The fall was a bit serious. Bill wrapped my knee like a mummy, making it difficult to bend. I couldn't go up or down the stairs. After he helped me back to the company, Bill smiled at me and said, "You can go down now." I looked at the stairs. "Aren't you human? Out of basic humanitarianism, you should at least give me a hand." He was watching me, a gleam of expectation in his eyes, but he still said with a stern face, "You can't take care of yourself right now. You need to learn to adapt, so hurry up and get down." Pride couldn't let me take his help, so I got off the car. I could hear him directing me from behind, telling me how to get my legs up the stairs. I was so angry I was sweating. I was about to turn around and yell at him when suddenly, 2 hands lifted my elbow. I looked up in surprise, and when I saw Ethan's eyes full of complex emotions, I froze. It had been half a year since we last saw each other. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. At not even 30, there were already a few gray hairs at his temples. I was about to pull my arm away when I heard my old boss behind him say, "Your legs are inconvenient, just let him help you." I awkwardly smiled, and then my old boss asked, "Was that your boyfriend?" The hand supporting me suddenly tightened, and I instinctively looked back at Bill, but I only managed to catch a glimpse of his car's taillight. During the meeting, my old boss chatted with me. I learned that in the last 6 months, Ethan's work had been so outstanding that he was promoted twice and was now the deputy manager. That's why he was attending this high-level meeting. The meeting had nothing to do with me. I was nodding off, and during a break, I went to the corridor to get some fresh air. A voice came from the safety passage. It sounded exhausted. I told you I came with the leader. There's no woman. What else do you want me to do? I'm tired, can't you stop making a scene? The voice was Ethan's, but it was so hoarse it almost couldn't be heard. Lily's voice was loud, and I didn't know what she said next. Finally, Ethan said, "Let's get a divorce. I really can't handle it anymore." By the time I returned to the meeting, he had already regained his composure. After the meeting, I stayed until the last minute. When I left the room, I realized Ethan was waiting outside. "Mister," she said, "you have difficulty walking. Let me give you a ride home." Before I could refuse, I was pulled aside by Bill, who had come to take me to dinner. He looked at Ethan. "Don't worry, I'll take her." Ethan's face instantly changed. "Who's this?" Bill looked down at me, his eyes like cold lasers. I smiled. "My boyfriend." Ethan's face drained of color, and he forced a smile before walking away without saying a word. The look in his eyes is so intense. Bill repositioned my head. "Is this the boyfriend who cheated on you?" I looked up in surprise. "How do you know?" "I know everything," he sneered. "Men like him are better off gone." Remembering those ridiculous events, I couldn't help but sigh. Honestly, I do have things I could have done better. Bill suddenly bent down and looked at me seriously. A tall, handsome man at 1.8 meters, staring into my eyes was such a powerful experience. I even saw myself in his eyes, cheeks flushed with panic. What are you staring at me for? You're almost 30, yet you still don't use your brain. The moment someone sells you a sob story, you start rethinking yourself. Are you turning into a saint? He shook my head gently. You might as well stop these pointless meetings, he said. I had already asked for leave from my boss earlier. That evening, Ethan sent me a message asking if I was asleep. I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked him on WeChat. Bill was right. Since it's in the past, there's no point in looking back. Life went on as usual. I continued to work hard for my dreams. Along the way, Bill became part of my life. He constantly criticized my aesthetic, but when I felt like giving up, he pulled me out of the abyss. That day, I worked overtime until 10 p.m. As soon as I walked out of the company, I saw someone rushing towards me from the corner. I looked and saw Ethan's mom. As soon as she saw me, she collapsed on the ground, clutching her legs, crying and wailing, her mental state clearly not well. Ethan's gone, where did you hide him? After some questioning, I learned that Ethan had been missing for a month. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Ethan's mom cried harder, and I stood there at a loss. Suddenly, a coat was draped over my shoulder, and Bill pulled Ethan's mom away from my legs. If you keep harassing my girlfriend, I'll call the police. Ethan's mom stopped crying immediately. Bill asked me, what were you talking about? Ethan's mom started yelling again. You've already found a new boyfriend. But look at my son, he's disappeared. Lily's gone mad because of you. She's in a mental hospital and she lost the baby. Are you seriously here flirting with other men? Bill cut her off directly. Oh, your son's gone. Your grandson's gone. How does that have anything to do with Coco? Did she kill him? Ethan's mom was left speechless, and after a long pause, she finally spat out. It's all her fault. She should compensate me for emotional damages. Bill laughed in anger and lightly pushed me. Go wait in the car. I didn't want to leave him with the mess, but before I could say anything, he pushed me into the car. His car wasn't parked far or near. I could hear their conversation faintly. Bill asked Ethan's mom, so you want to talk about compensation? Fine, let's talk. My girlfriend's been tormented by your son and daughter-in-law for almost a year. As for nutrition costs, I'll give you a discount and make it 1,000. Your daughter-in-law even caused her trouble at work, hurting her reputation. You'll pay 500 for that. Let's talk about how much your son has cost her all these years. Don't talk to me about gifts. Your son owes her, and if you want proof, we'll provide it. I'll take the lead and offer you a discount. 10% off. You can pay her 100,000. How does that sound? Shall we continue? He stood with his back to me, his figure towering under the street lamp. Eventually, Ethan's mom walked away, defeated. Bill didn't say anything as he got into the car, and I didn't ask. 3 months later, I started my own clothing brand. Bill came to me and insisted I treat him to a meal, saying it was to thank him for helping me achieve my dream. While we were cooking, I heard an announcement on the TV about a body being claimed. A man's body had been washed up on the shore of a nearby city, already heavily decomposed, estimated to be around 30 years old. Before the host could finish, Bill switched the channel. After a while, he suddenly said, "Life is really strange." I snorted but didn't respond. Life is indeed strange. Everyone has their own path. As long as you live your life well and feel good about it, you can face yourself proudly. I'll live well, and I hope those who I've never met or won't meet again will too.